Well, when I first started at Sea Lovers, they hired me as a cashier. And since then, for the most part, we do regular duties that cashiers do. We ring in the orders, we make sure the customers get their things and they get their proper orders, and we make sure they get to their tables. We make sure everything is clean before and after. And from time to time, we do help the cooks. We also help the dishwashers and the servers, and yeah, anything really that has to do with customer service, since we are technically the first faces they see when they come into our restaurant. The job itself, being a cashier, I find is actually really fun because I love talking to people and I love helping people out. And there isn't really much to worry about because all the customers are really nice. And, obviously there are a handful of people that come in and are a bit of a pain, but that's just part of the job. And I really do like it. I like the experience. So I started working at Sea Lovers early December of last year. And since then, I've been trained as a cashier. And when I started out, it was really just teaching me things like how to shake the fries and how to make the coleslaw, the salads, and all the other sides that we hand out for takeout and even for dine-in from time to time. Things like that, cleanup duties when we're closing, and how to ring in orders on the till. But other than that, it's pretty simple, like I said. Um, Training, I was trained by my coworker, and she was really nice. She was really thorough, and I really appreciated how my fellow employees were really supportive. And when I made a mistake, it wasn't the end of the world. So I find that really helps when you're starting off in a new job, especially if it's your first job. So that I'm really grateful for. Yeah, I'd say I really do like my environment at work. I think all of my coworkers are so friendly, they're really approachable, and I really don't have a problem going to them about any kind of problem that I have, whether it's with a customer, with personal matter, or just, small talk. It's really great. Other than that, they're a really good, hardworking bunch, and I just find that they're a really good group of people to be surrounded in a workplace, and I don't think I'd have it any other way. Aside from the people, it is a really great work environment because I find that the duties we do are very simple, and I just think that the way they operate at Sea Lovers is just effective. It's simple, it isn't too harsh, and I find that it's really great for a first job. If I had to choose to work somewhere else, I really wouldn't because I do genuinely like my job at Sea Lovers, and I don't think I'd have it any other way. The answer is most definitely. So, as I mentioned before, there are a handful of customers that come in and they are pretty rude, and it just is not the best to deal with sometimes. But I found that, um, especially over the past few weeks, with the extra COVID stress and everything, I've had to deal with some pretty passionate customers, and I think I truly have gotten better at dealing with them because as long as you maintain a respectful tone, I find, and if you feel you're out of your depth, I just hand them off to my manager, and I find that's the best, most effective way. And yeah, it just depends on the situation and whether or not you can really actually help them or if they're really just complaining, for the sake of being a pain. But other than that, I think it's just rule of thumb, be respectful, customers always right, things like that. Well, I actually did have a friend come in and apply at Sea Lovers, and I told her, for the most part, that our manager is very friendly. He's very understanding. So if you approach him with respect, with kindness, and you just give off a kind impression, then that's a really good place to start. If you were to get into an interview with my manager at Sea Lovers, my biggest word of advice to you would just to go in with confidence and speak from the heart, be genuine, and things like that, because he really appreciates things like that. And I think at Sea Lovers, it's really important because we do get a lot of regular customers, and they like to see that we have friendly staff and that we're open and that we're helpful, things like that. So I think it really just comes down to the environment and the kind of impression you give on other people. Um, I honestly don't really have a worst part of the job. I think that for the most part at my job at Sea Lovers, it's really good. I don't really have anything that I would change. But apart from it being a customer service job, obviously we get, the odd handful of, difficult customers, but it'll happen anywhere you go, and I think that's not something that just goes away. But apart from that, I think that one of the hardest, not so much as worst parts of the job, is probably just to maintain standards, especially with COVID going on. There are a lot of things to be upheld. So yeah, just things like maintaining that and being efficient with our work and making sure everybody is comfortable, making sure everybody is being served efficiently, things like that. Well, as I mentioned before, obviously it's a job that has to do with customer service. And so, seeing as that is, one of the most important parts, it's just that, apart from the not so pleasant customers that we get, we do actually have a bunch of regulars that come in and are just so nice and so great to talk to. And I think that it's honestly a sense of community, as hard as that seems to believe. I do have quite a few customers that I can think of off the top of my head that I absolutely love, and I just smile when they come in. And so I think that's most definitely my favorite part of the job. Well, when you consider the fact that Sea Lovers was my first job and I've been there since I turned 14 and since I could start working, I've come a long way. I've definitely learned quite a few skills that I'll take away to my future opportunities, future jobs, and just really any sort of, situation I come across in after I leave. So some of those might be customer service, obviously, main theme of this job. But other than that, working efficiently, paying attention to detail, learning to be more flexible in terms of what I do and how quickly I do it and where I do it and how I do it and whom I do it with, sorts of things like that. Other main takeaways would probably be just to learn to adapt. We've had to adapt to quite a few new situations again with, COVID, because I started working there before and, during and hopefully after, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, ultimately I think I'll just take away some really good, base skills for wherever I'll go in the future. Well, when I consider who I was and, my capabilities when I started working, and I compare it to now, I think that I've improved a lot. Like, I mean, a lot. I've learned how to, manage certain situations more efficiently and more quickly and more beneficial. It's definitely a matter of how, it benefits who and, it benefiting us as well as the customer and everyone being satisfied. I think I've learned how to do that very well. Apart from that, another way I've improved is probably just being more critical and being more logical and being able to just problem solve all around and, you know, again, just paying attention to detail and being more flexible. Yeah. So I think all around I've grown and I've improved as a employee and as a person with my time at Sea Lovers. So it's been great.